Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope everything's okay in your life. In this video, we will talk about Awakening Drakania changes. Let's check what we have. So in Awakening Drakania, we got decent PV buffs, and we will also talk about Succession Drakania just a little bit, because there is no big changes on Succession Drakania. Before we talk about the changes, I have to say that there will be big add-on changes on next week. Until they share about the add-on changes, I will not create new things about Drakania on YouTube. But I'm creating this one. It's because people asking non-stop what you think about changes, and I just request from them, please give me a little bit time. And I tested class like in 2 days in PV sports, and we will talk about the class right now. Remember that add-on changes will affect everything in the game, in PvE, in PvP. So please stay calm. I want to just talk about the succession first, okay? Succession damage after the changes are pretty good. Overall, it seems pretty good, but the problem is just this chronic problem is just you have to keep your ion charge always up and full, close to be full, because when you need to use your big damage skills, you're recharging your ions, isn't it? Meanwhile, you're trying to charge your ions and buff yourself and debuff your opponents. You're using, for example, Embers. You're using, for example, SLMB for DP Shred, and also for RMB for accuracy buff, and also for ion charge. Sometimes you're using E skill, where's the Prime Eversil Fang, isn't it? For extra 6 ion charge. Even sometimes you're using this side dash LMB, like in this one, to get your crit buffs and canceling with F, crit rate and F. And that type of chronic problems is just making the class clunky and losing time. It just reduce and decrease your DPS. Imagine that you're just losing time like that. If I were just a succession, I would just get my buffs, apply my debuffs, but the damage on the skills, they are bad. They are not that much good. So the problem on this part, and the class some chronic problems, hopefully they will fix it on the second part. This part, you're losing so much DPS because of the low DPS. And for example, this is just a chronic problem. Just check this one. Most of the time, we are not using the first attack of the Omni Slash, and we are directly starts from attack number 2 and 3. Why there is a multiply 3, 2 and 4, instead of, for example, on attack number 1, multiply 1, on attack number 2, multiply 4, on attack number 3, multiply 4. It would be amazing, isn't it? We have same problem on Awakening too. We will talk about it in an Awakening part. And on the other hand, the crit rates on some skills, they are not that much good. For example, in Embers, 40%, meh. For example, it's Brimbolt, if you check it, 40%. Yes, you have this skill to get your crit rate, but I'm losing time. Why don't you let me get for that crit rate, for example, on race skill? Let me get it with this skill. I can get it. Just an example. I can get myself buffs in that way. So class can be very good while I'm just maintaining my buffs, trying to get my buffs, apply my debuffs, getting my ions. I can also deal proper damage. This will save the class, and this will make the class very good in PvE. On the main skills, on the ion charge type of skills like Brimbolt, the damage is pretty good, and the add-on changes also will affect Succession very, very good. The tier 3 add-on wasn't the problem, and the tier 3 add-on thing, also the 30% crit rate will help. Again, pillar skills damage are bad. Look at it. These are the buffed values, by the way. 900 multiply 4 is not okay. It's like not that much fast skill, not that much strong skill. I mean, just a little bit more damage, more crit rate, it will be a very good class. These are my general thoughts about Succession. There is no big thing talk about the Succession. The movements are clunky, all other things are clunky. I will not talk about that. PvP is very strong and I'm not talking about PvP. We will talk about PvE mostly. The main subject, we will talk about Awakening in this part. Before to start the Awakening, I want to show something to you. If you check this spreadsheet, in this spreadsheet, we are updating this spreadsheet every update. This Korean update, last global update, this update. If something changed from this rework starts until the end, this might be the biggest resource. You can see every change before and after. If you're not playing Drakania and if you want to see your own character's entire change for entire rework, you can use this, and you can find this link in the description section, or you can find it in my Discord. I will use this document to see all the changes, okay? Brimbolt Strike for Succession, 13% damage buff. Blazing Strike, these are the ion damage, by the way, 15%. Polar Skill, 6%. They're okay, because skills, they got already good damage in before. They just buff slightly. But we want to see big damage numbers again here, as I said. These are filler skills, and I want to see like 40-50% damage increase, and with the good add-on changes, they will be very good with crit rates. This is just 95% already bad damage skill, turn into just like like, again, a bad skill. This is just an illusion. Don't care about it. Let's talk about Awakening, okay? I will check the damage changes in here. First of all, we need damage changes on Legacy skill. They didn't change it. They didn't touch it. Legacy skill is your weapon stance change skill, and after every skill, you can use it. So this is kind of filler skill, and it's kind of fast, but low crit rate and the bad damage, crit rate 50 is acceptable, but the bad damage 1k multiply 4 is not good. They buffed some other skills very good, but they didn't touch some skills, and they didn't buff properly some skills, and Legacy untouched skill. In second part of the PvE, not only PvE, PvP and PvE updates, I would love to see in Legacy buffs like 40-50% more damage, because it is like 4.4k. I would love to see like 6-7k filler damage. It would be good. Let's talk about Tip of the Scale. Tip of the Scale is a skill we mostly use to get our accuracy buff. They buffed this skill like 18% more damage. The main problem of the skill is like crit rate. 25% crit rate is making the very big damage loss on the skill. And the first and the second hit, we almost never use first and second hit. In PvP, sometimes we are doing this. And Drakania mains know this thing. Shift LMB and Q cancel like that. You see? We are just getting our buffs like that. That's the only thing that we use this skill. The first and second hit, we are losing so much multipliers and the damage on first and second hit. I would love to see like attack number 1 multiply 1, attack number 2 multiply 2, 3, 4, and 5. Give all the numbers to 3, 4, and 5. Increase the numbers. If they don't want to change the skill mechanics, all the animations, if it is just extra effort for the developers, just take the numbers from there and give on to the other numbers. If you check all the numbers on the skill, it seems big, but it is useless. If you want proper damage, no. And on the other hand, we are also not using attack number 4 and 5 in PvE. We generally use after this skill like after dash, shift LMB like that. This is the third hit when you land. This is the third hit. Or after shift F, this is our DP shred skill on Hexablood. After shift F, you're using shift LMB. Shift F and shift LMB to get your accuracy buff. Just a little bit filler damage, and the damage is not that much strong. If you check that, 5.8k or something with very low crit rate. Keep that crit rate thing in your pockets. We will talk about that in later. They buffed Savage Decree like 16%. This skill completely, sorry about that, but shit, I'm sorry. They have to rework on this skill. Completely useless. We are not using that skill. Almost never in PvP and PvE. They buffed this skill, just waste of time. Just remove the skill. I don't know. So the buff on the Savage Decree, meaningless. The Consulate Claw is very good. Basic damage skill, fast. And you can activate this skill after some skills, like after F skill, after Savage Decree, any hits, and after Spiteful Soul, third hits if you keep press RMB, and some extra things. After Storm Owl, for example. You maybe not know that. Let me show you. Storm Owl, LMB, RMB, you can use it. So Consulate Club got 42% damage buff increase. I'm very okay with this update. Very, very okay, because this turns into like one of the good and main damage skill. This is very good. I like this change. I would love to see all changes like this one. For Spiteful Soul skill, our RMB skill, and pretty good front guard skill, they buff damage like 25%. On this skill, like Tip of Scale, for most of situation, we are not using attack number 1 and 2. We are using skill after some certain skills. For example, Sundering Roar attack number 2, or Shift F, or from Dragon Blood to Hexablood after Legacy, shift RMB into RMB to cancel like this one. Let me use it. For example, I will just use F space shift RMB and RMB. Like that. So we are using skill most of time, the attack number 3. The first attack number 1 and 2, the damage generally wasted. Why don't you just move a little bit more damage to the attack number 3 so we can cancel it for after some certain skills. If we need that front guard, we can just do that, for example. So 25% increase, okay, but crit rate, again, an issue. I don't want to see that the crit rate issue with those low numbers. Extinction, it's got like 14% damage increase, which was very bad skill. This is the skill. Again, a filler skill. DP shred skill. The problem, the damage on the skill with the DPS, if we talk about a DPS, animation is good. I mean, the crit rate is an issue. The damage increase, I'm okay, but a crit rate, hopefully they will find some kind of problem, some kind of solution. Obliterate, Shift E skill, our main skill. PvP nerf is required on this skill, by the way. Our main skill didn't touch. They didn't touch this skill. I have no idea why they didn't touch. Maybe they will rework skill, or they think that it is okay, but this is just an animation lock skill. Your animation will be locked. I didn't understand why they didn't touch Obliterate. Maybe they will touch on second part. Because, for example, last week's Global Lab, they started the second part. They announced add-on changes and they announced some classes, extra buffs. For example, Ninja got extra buffs, like 3-4%. They already buffed this skills, and they already buffed skills like 3%, maybe 4% more. For example, Striker got some extra buffs. Striker's untouched skills also got proper buffs on Succession Striker. Maybe in second part they will calculate and they will do the math again and they will touch Obliterate. And for example, Tectonic Slam they didn't touch, Stormhole they didn't touch, Savage Degree they didn't touch. Maybe they will even buff more these skills. I mean, Tip of Skill got bad buff, Tectonic Slam got bad buff. We will talk about them. Maybe they will fix this problem on the second part. Let's talk about Sundering Roar. Sundering Roar is our best burst skill in the skill kit, and they buffed this skill like 26%. I was expecting like 20% and they gave us like 26%. I like this one. Until now, I like this change, I like this change, and the remain part, Tectonic Slam didn't touch. Crackling Flame, again, they buffed this skill 30%. I like it. Again, skill has a crit rate issue, so we generally don't want to use the skill while in our combo. Skill is good, fast skill, good, but when you need extra damage, you don't have crit rate. 25 is very bad. Storm Piercer, we generally use this skill like the other skills using attack number 2 and 3. This skill got 30% damage increase. I like it. Stormhole, untouched. Tip of Scale Dragon Blood, they buffed this skill, let me check, 17%. Overall, there was a problem on entire Dragon Blood kit. They were slow and very bad DPS. I was expecting like 30, maybe 40% damage increase tip of scale, but they only did like 17% damage increase. I don't know. I'm just being neutral against this skill. I didn't like it, and also I didn't dislike it. Savage Degree, untouched. I'm expecting like 30-40% damage increase on the second part. Hopefully they realized that they didn't touch Savage Degree. Spiteful Soul and the Flow, we call them both same. Shift RMB, I really like these changes. That's actually what I want to see on these class in Dragon Blood form, because they buffed Shift RMB 45% and the Cloud Strife 65%. Damage was very bad on these skills, and only Spiteful Soul and the Cloud Strife got proper increase. Tip of Scale bad, Tectonic Slam bad. I would love to see all these changes like on this one. I like this one and I like this one. Storm Piercer, they buffed this skill like 17%. This is skill. This is slow skill. I would love to see like around 30% damage increase. Maybe they will buff in second part. I didn't like it. I also didn't dislike it. I'm just being neutral onto this buff. Sundering Roar, I really like this buff by the way. Sundering Roar got 20% damage increase. This is our main skill, signature skill. 20% damage increase. It's definitely feel good. I like this. Aerial Bursts, this is our like pull or whatever you say, heal skill, some kind of utility skill. They didn't touch it. I would love to see 8-second cooldown on this skill, but it will also buff the PvP. Maybe they will rework on the skill, I don't know, in the second part. Doombringer, it was very bad PvE damage skill. Now it got 50% damage increase as expected. Now it deals proper damage in PvE, sorry. In PvP, again, like damage is like with Shift T, Shift Q is broken. I'm expecting PvP nerf on Shift T, Shift Q. Crackling Flame, they didn't touch it. Tectonic Slam, they buffed this skill 14%. Why? Slow animation skill. Why 14%? I didn't like it. So let's check which skills I like it and I didn't like it. Legacy, skills need buff. They didn't touch. Dislike. Tip of Scale, skills has waste of damage in it so much, and crit rate is an issue. Even if you just buff the skill like 60% damage increase, it will be dislike because of the skills mechanic. Savage Decree, completely garbage skill. Dislike. I dislike your buff. I mean the buff meaningless. Posted Cloud, like. Spiteful Soul, I'm just being neutral. Maybe like, maybe dislike. But crit rate is again an issue because you cannot use entire damage like with a crit. Extinction, I like the damage change, but I still don't like the skill about entire damage because of the low crit rate, so I'm just being neutral. Obliterate, they didn't touch the skill, so dislike. Sundering Roar, I like. Tectonic Slime, they didn't touch, dislike. Storm Owl, they didn't touch and dislike. Storm Piercer, I like, it's pretty good buff. Crackling Flame, buff is good, but crit rate is bad. Skill is useless right now. If they find a proper solution for all the crit rate on the skill, yes, you have in your pre-awakening kit this one, or you have your Rabam. It also gives like 15-second crits, 24%, but it also has a 25-second cooldown. This is not permanent crit buff. If they find a proper crit rate buff on the skills on the Hexablood, at least if they give like PV 50% crit rate on all skills at minimum, then they all will be usable maybe, except Savage Decree. But now overall crit rate is an issue still on Hexablood. For Dragon Blood, tip of scale, it's like Savage Decree, they didn't touch, dislike. Spiteful Soul, definitely like. Cloud Spur, definitely like. Storm Piercer, neutral. Thundering Roar, definitely like. Aerial Burst, they didn't touch, dislike. Doombringer, definitely like. Crackling Flame, they didn't touch, dislike. Tectonic Slam, very bad damage increase, dislike. So overall, if you check all the changes, 40% like, 60% dislike, and some extra changes, some extra damage increase required on the skill kit. These are the changes overall. So what I'm thinking about the for specific spots, we need to see on the second part, and we also need to see the add-on changes, how it will affect. And by the way, we don't know how other classes performing. I can clearly say that if you compare with the old Drakania, Awakened Drakania now is performing pretty good compared with the old version. But compared with the other class, I think still in behind of other class. Already good classes in PvE got huge buffs, but already bad class in PvE got decent buff. I mean, I was expecting strong buff on PvE on this class, good buff on just decent buffs on the already good class. Why they do it, I don't know. If they don't touch class in PvE ever again, they also shouldn't touch PvP damage. I mean, compared to other classes, PvE is still low average. For specific spots, let's talk about them. I did some tests on Troll. Elviate Troll feels good. For Gryphon, compared to other class, feels bad. Compared to old Drakania, it feels okay. For Tonewood, still AoE problem. For Tonewood, Succession feels good, by the way. You can go for Succession, especially after add-on changes. At Tonewood Forest, I think Succession Drakania will be one of the best. It's because of the big AoE and good burst damage. I didn't check on Giant Posts. I will check on Giant Posts when they just announced the add-on changes. I checked on Bloody Monastery. Awakening feels slightly better than the old one. It's because of the AoE issue. If they buff more Dragon Blood skills, maybe it can be better. After add-on changes, maybe Psychria performance will increase. I checked on Tungrat Ruins. Tungrat Ruins Awakening performance will significantly increase. And after add-on changes, with very high effort, if you have Heart Capture, Awakening Drakania, in my opinion, you will be able to get 21, maybe with good Putarak hour, 22k trash per hour, which will this class will be, I mean, one of the best Tungrat Ruin grinders. It's because of you have so many skills to rotate and you have good mobility. The distance between spec on Tungrat Ruins is a little bit more, it's a little bit big. You have good mobility to use at that spot. That's why you're just outperforming other classes. And also having high skill amount of your skill kit, it's making it's solving the cooldown issue. Because when you have very high endgame gear, hard cap gear, when you have E buff and Z buff like close to 1.1k or over 1.1k AP, I mean Tungrat Ruin spots turn into like Gahaz mobs. You're just destroying them. They just melt instantly if you know how to play, if you know how to kill them. For the current situation, I think we need to wait until add-on changes. We need to see how perform other classes. My general thoughts, I would give 6.5 out of 10 compared to other classes. If you just compare it in Drakania performance, I would give 8 out of 10 increase because they still didn't untouch. They didn't touch these skills, some of the skills. If they touch them in Drakania changes, I would give 100 out of 100 and 100% good, I would say it. We will see on the second part. That's what I'm thinking about Drakania. I don't know what to say in the next part, but I hope you guys like my contents. I mean, do not forget, BDO is just a game. Have a nice game.